Alright guys, this is kind of how this ends up underneath. It kind of hits the frame. Not exactly perfect, but I'm going to get a bead right there, I think, right along that. That's real flat, and right around, just barely around that corner it stays flat. And then as you come up around, you can see I start getting air gap. So with them like this, I'll put that, that 90, 45, 90 thing right here, right beside this bolt. And that'll give me some, twist type stability, and then I'll box it. Just take some little pieces of metal and box it so it's strong in there. And I just want to keep water out too. I mean, that's a great place for water to get in there and just stay forever, so I'll box that real good and close it up. I just kind of wanted to show you one of these underneath once this is sitting in here. Alright guys, on this driver's side rear plate, I had to weld that a couple of times. Had to grind it back out and weld it because welding upside down was new to me and it was tough. It didn't do right the first time through. So if you have to, grind them back out, re-weld them. Get yourself a good physical connection there though. Now I explain this here, what I'm doing, in just a minute in the video, but I'm cross measuring from the inside of the opposite frame over to that plate to get these equal. Alright guys, when you're trying to get those two back plates the right distance underneath the back frame here, what I found was you need 33 inches center to center on those bolts. And what I found was, let me turn off the welder. Maybe y'all can hear me a little better. What I found is if I measure with my tape right here on the frame of the opposite side and then come down to the bolt, so I'm measuring across from that inside of the frame, this little edge right here, the lower edge of the C frame, if I measure from there to the center of the bolt, it's 30 and 11/16, or 5/8 and a 16th. So yeah, 11/16. So 30 and 11/16, and then I measure back this way from this inside bottom edge of the frame to the center of that bolt, and got it 30 and 11/16. When I got both of those at 30 and 11/16, then when I measured in between the two bolts, it's exactly 33, and that means I've got them sitting the same under each frame with respect to the Crown Vic. If you just measure 33, you could be shifted to the left and still have 33, or shifted to the right and still have 33. It's important that you have it centered on the frame and then 33. So find you a cross measurement that you can get and match them up and then tack it. And that's what I just did. Now I'm going to start doing a little bit more solid welding on the little 90-degree things on the side to hold it. Then I'm going to pull the Crown Vic out from under here again and weld everything up really sound. I think that's good enough to hold it while I get everything done. I got that, and on the underside of the frame it's tacked as well. So now I'm going to get this on the other side as well, and then I should feel safe about unbolting those bolts right there and pulling this thing, the Crown Vic, up out of the way so I can finish weld these. See, I got to get a finish weld on the top of that. I got this front one right here, but it's kind of ugly, and I had, when I was going around this, it kind of messed me up. So I want to get the Crown Vic out of the way so I can make a really nice weld on the rest of these. That ought to hold it for right now. That weld right there is kind of thin. I'll probably go back over it, but the bottom two are good little short welds. Alright, so now I can actually pull this Crown Vic out of here. But I wanted to show you, I'm going to go ahead and take my sway bar off. I did get it to line up in here. You can see I just got it I just put it on until the lock nut started kind of binding up, but I've got the sway bar bent. What I did was I hooked it up backwards. Let me show you. I'll put you back on the tripod. Alright, what I did to get the sway bar down to the right position was I actually turned the sway bar around and I had it coming out like horns out the front. And then I was able just to take that sway bar with a big cheater. I put a piece of pipe on each side, and we just went all the way to the ground and all the way back up and all the way down the ground and all the way back up. And I was able to move it from like 9 inches without tension on it off the ground to 18 inches without tension on the ground. And I knew I had kind of broke it free. So I just kind of eyeballed it and put it kind of at a middle position, turn it all the way back around, and I got lucky. It's really close. So now I'm just going to take it off and get it out of the way now that I know I got it straight for the truck. Alright, we're going to finish the top welds now that I've got the Crown Vic out from under the frame. I can just walk around this. So I'll kind of be out of the picture frame, but you'll see me welding the tops of these pipes. Okay, for those of you wondering what the white towel is, that's to keep the sun out of the back of my helmet. When you're welding, you can get a reflection from the sun and it really messes with your vision. Almost got it. I'm cutting a little small piece to go right here across the front of this, underneath the frame, and then I weld it in. It's a little too tall. Today we're going to try to get this all cleaned up and get a coat of the PR15 on the inside before we box the frame. So basically I'm following their instructions. They've got this cleaner degreaser that comes with a little kit that I bought. And what I've done is cut that 50-50 with some hot water, and I'm just spraying all over where I think I may have some oil or any grease. And before this, I had already gone over with a wire brush over the entire frame, and I'm not trying to get it down to bare metal. However, up here where I was welding, it did go to bare metal because I had to grind. So we're going to use an acid pre-prep right before this, right before we paint. But I'll get some close-ups of this. But inside the frame and everything in here, I mean, it's just knocked off rust, but the surface rust is still there, and that's okay because this PR15 and other encapsulators like it, they like to grab to that rust. It actually gives them a surface to adhere to, and basically they trap the rust, they stop its activity, and they starve it from water so it can't go any further. And that's how they work. So as I spray this, I can just see oil dropping off. I mean, it's cutting the oil really good. So I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to agitate it a little bit with this brush. Stole this from the kitchen, and I'm just going to go around and kind of agitate it. You know, anywhere I think I might have oil or whatever, I'm going to agitate it and let it do its job of cutting that oil. You know, especially where these where the spring towers were, stuff's been in there for years. Just the oil and stuff from the engine and from different, you know, work that people have done on it, and they let it drip down in there and they couldn't clean it. Now these cap supports right here, they get oil because they get blowback from the engine, and as it's working, and if it has oil leak, it all gets blown back this way by the fan. So as I'm doing this right here, I'm seeing a lot of grease and oil come loose. And eventually I'm going to replace these cab mounts. So just kind of clean this up so that when I get in here with the paint on this and try to make it black, it's going to look good. So again, agitate it, spray it some more if you need to, and just work yourself around. This doesn't have to be an exact science. You're basically trying to get that grease to break loose, because the paint don't like to stick to grease. Definitely wear safety glasses. You don't want these little things to spring that stuff in your face. Right here where my power steering, there was a power steering bracket right here inside the frame. You almost boxed the frame. It's real greasy. So I'm going to let that sit for a little while, and I'll come back and rinse it off. Alright, so I squirted it down with the soap solution, the degreaser. It's cut 50-50 with warm water. And then, you know, just spraying all this stuff that I thought would never kind of come down clean. I mean, it almost went really clean. So this is all the new metal that I put on, but all this old metal is pretty dang clean. Now I left this deep kind of patina on this frame right here because that's what the POR sticks to best. So I left that on there, didn't grind it down. I went around with some rags and just wiped off any big grease puddles that had kind of formed from that degreaser. Just used some rags, some shop rags, and got it all wiped down, front, inside, over all of it. So now what I'm going to do is, it's still got that soap solution on it. It's really basic, so you need to get that cut. So I'm going to put the Crown Vic under it and roll it out of my garage and spray it down really good with my water hose and just get that rinsed out. Then I'll use an air hose and blow all that out. Then I'll go with the metal prep. I just didn't want to get all that water in the garage. Alright, that's good enough, but the water will run away. So now let's just set up and start washing that sucker. These tires weren't holding anyway. Ready to rinse, paint. Right there. And I can let this down. Oh, so I can roll it out. You're gonna have to get used to this. There's a lot of moving it around. You have to be real careful with your steering. Right here, you don't want to hit anything on these pipes. I did that and I already had to replace them. You get the idea. Alright guys, so now I'm moving to metal prep. This is also made by the same people that make the POR 15, and it's a second step. So you degrease, then you use metal prep. It's phosphoric acid blend, and it's going to kind of etch the metal and get it ready to accept that paint. So I'm just going to put it in one of these spray bottles. I rinse this out, put it in here, squirt it all over, and it says keep it wet for at least 15-20 minutes. So it really has a chance to kind of etch on it. And then we got to wash it again and dry it again. So here we go. Alright, I got it in here. It's kind of a blue solution. You can see it there. So here we go. I'm going to start kind of the back and work my way out so I'm not up against this. My focus right now is the inside of the frame, so I'm going to get everything on the inside coated first, and if I have left over, I'll start on the outside, but I'm going to get the outside later. Now it says keep it wet for a good 15 to 20 minutes, so I'm probably going to have to hit this several times. It's evaporating. You can see what that looks like, and here's some pretty shiny, and then there's the new metal. I'm getting that thing that holds the cab there. Keep it wet. Getting underneath that little angle iron. I went and blew some leaves for a little bit on the yard, and now I'm back. I'm going to rinse it off, but you can see how white it got. I think you can see that. I mean, it just got phosphorus white. You know, some people say, hey, why is he carrying a gun out there while he's doing his truck work? And guys, the main reason is just because I can. I mean, I live out in the country. If I wanted to just fire off a few rounds at a target just to keep in good practice, I'd do it. Our next step is to box the frame, make it stronger. Alright, here's another way. I've been doing the leaves. Just use this thing. Hey guys, this actually really worked better than the compressed air, and I didn't have to blow my compressor, you know, so much and just run that compressor continuously.
This thing moves a lot of air, and it really helped dry that frame fast.
It got kind of white in the places where I had bare metal. Got real white. You can see where I kind of had the old patina or rust, it just kind of didn't get as white. But anything new and where I had it real shiny, this is out in the shade so you can kind of see without the sun glistening on it. Look how those areas in this new metal here that was all shined up, it all got real white with that etch, and it's almost chalky, so I'm going to wipe it down. I mean, this is washed. I washed this and then blew it off dry. So I'm going to wipe it down.